Today's tutorial is how to tie-dye a Mickey Mouse head on a t-shirt. The shirt that I'm using was soaked in soda ash and then spun out so that it's barely damp while I'm tying it. Before starting, I printed out the mouse shape and traced half of it onto my t-shirt with a washable marker. So to begin tying the design, we're going to do something called pleating. Starting at the top, we're going to make these little folds along the line, making it as straight as possible. There's two main spots where this gets really tricky. The first is right here on that first sharp corner on the ear. It definitely takes a little practice to be able to do these sharper corners. The best advice I can give is instead of moving your hands along the line, move the shirt so that the line is always straight in front of you, like you can kind of see here. You want to try your best to make all of your pleats the same height and width. I would estimate that my pleats are probably about 1/4 to 1/2 inch tall. But like I said, the most important part is trying to get that line to be as straight as possible. The straighter it is, the more precise your shape will be in the end. So you just want to continue down that entire line, and I'll meet you back when I'm done. Okay, so now that we're done folding, we're going to actually tie up that line. For this part, I'm using something called artificial sinew. It is a wax-coated thread, and because of that, when you tie it super tight, wherever you tie it, you'll have a white line. So I like to just wrap it around it a few times and then pull super tight. Here you can see me just fixing it so that the string is as close to being on that line that we did as possible. After it's pretty much secure on there, you want to keep wrapping it around a bunch of times, holding it down and pulling super tight, and I mean super tight. So now it's time to tie up the background. I usually just scrunch mine, but you can do whatever you want. I'm going to be showing you the scrunch, so like it sounds, you just lay the shirt flat and then scrunch it up. While it doesn't have to be as precise as the mouse head that we just tied up, you want to make sure that these are as tight and uniform as you can get them. You'll just have a cleaner result that way. So to tie up the background, I'm going in with a different kind of string. This is kite string. The one I use is actually designed specifically for tie-dye, and I'll link everything that I'm using below. If you want an in-depth tutorial on how I do the scrunch, there is one posted on my channel, but for the most part, I'm just wrapping around the string, tucking everything in, and pulling tight. Okay, so we're all done tying it, and here's what it looks like when you're done. Now it's time to dye it. The dye that I use is called Fiber Reactive Dye, and I get mine from Dharma Trading Company. Like everything else, I'll link that one below. You can of course use any colors you want, but just remember that the little nub in the front is the mouse head and the rest is the background. So I'm dyeing my mouse black. So I'm going to do a rainbow background on mine. So I just do about inch thick sections of each color. When you're doing this, you want to make sure that you're fully saturating the fabric, but you don't want to go overboard. A good rule of thumb is when you flip it over, you should see a little bit of the dye seeping through, but not all of it. And of course, if you have a big puddle under the shirt, you put a little too much. So I'm just going to continue down the shirt using all of my colors, and I'll meet you at the end. So I did the same exact thing on the opposite side, and now I'm putting a small layer of black over top. This always scares people at first, but I promise you, it makes the result like 10 times better. It gives the colors so much more dimension. So after you dye it, you want to put it in a plastic bag or a container that is sealed, and you want to wait at least 24 hours. Now it's time to wash it out. As you just saw, I put a little bit of Dawn dish soap on there. It just helps get all of the dye out, and it also helps the colors not bleed into each other, especially the lighter colors like the yellow. A good rule of thumb is you want to wash it out in the sink until the water runs completely clear or as close to clear as you can get it. So what you see me doing is I'm just cutting off all of those background kite strings, and here's the background. You always want to start out using cold water first, and then at the end you want to switch to hot just to get all of the excess dye out. Okay, so here's the most exciting part. We're going to undo the artificial sinew and reveal the shape. Untying artificial sinew is always a bit of a pain because it's waxy, so it sticks together and it's really, really tight. Here's how mine came out. Remember that we tied it with the shirt in half, so you have to unfold the shirt to see the full shape. You'll notice that the outline is not completely white. That's just because of the color marker that we used, but because it's a washable marker, it will wash out and the lines will turn white. After you got all of the excess dye out, you want to throw it in the washing machine and then the dryer, and here's the final result. Here's another one that I made. This one is on a tank top, and in a second you'll see a crop top version. And if you guys like these but don't feel like trying to make it, they are on my Etsy shop, which is linked below also. Thank you guys for watching, and leave any questions in the comments.